China Girl is a key song in the development of both Iggy Pop and David Bowie. It's an Iggy song, which Bowie took part in creating, and years later he would record his own version. Each version has a very different meaning, but they are both significant. Here, we deal with the original version, the one that appears on Iggy's album, The Idiots. The Idiot was made at David's and Jim's darkest hour, when they were trying to run away from it all. Both of them suffering a spiritual crisis and feeling they have lost their way, both heavily addicted to hard drugs, both in bad shape physically and mentally, they fled America and started to look for a new home in Europe. They eventually found Berlin, which became a cocoon that allowed them to heal and retain their balance, but when they recorded this album in late 1976, they were still lost. It is well reflected in the album, in which Iggy sounds like a soulless robot singing against a backdrop of repetitive machine noise, finding no more joys or pleasures in life, perceiving the humans around him as replicants, feeling like he's losing his humanity. China Girl is the only track in which he sounds like a human with a soul, but when you look into that soul, you begin to understand why he would rather be a robot. It's a fantasy about a female lover. Iggy's voice, at first, sounds quite warm, the warmest it gets on the album. As the fantasy begins to unfold, it appears to be quite simple and straightforward. The singer imagines how nice it would be to have a Chinese girl to love him and take care of him. Feeling so empty himself, the only thing that can help him escape this feeling and bring some joy back into his life is the love of another. Surely, Iggy is putting a lot of himself and his current condition into the protagonist. The only thing that keeps him going is the dream of the powerful pleasures he could feel yet again if only he had his little China Girl. There is, of course, another interpretation. China is a well-known name for a brand of heroin, and the whole thing can be just a junkie describing his life with and without the drug. We should keep that in mind. With his girl, the singer feels himself big and important like a movie star. He feels he can do anything. And so, I stumbled into town, just like a sacred cow. Visions of swastikas in my head, and plans for everyone. It's in the As he gets more and more into his drug-fueled sexual fantasy, his excitement turns it violent. He imagines himself all-powerful with this China Girl, and with this power he sets out to destroy other people. His voice loses its warmth and becomes maniacal, climaxing on a blood-curdling scream as he sings the word white. And white is the key word here. As a white man, He now fantasizes about regaining the domination he once had over women and other races. The sacred cow and the swastika are both spiritual symbols in Eastern culture, but he incorporates them into his psychopathic visions. The sacred cow, which cannot be touched, becomes a symbol for someone who doesn't want to be touched, and the swastikas stand for his fascistic dreams. After becoming this monster, the singer now reverts his attention back to his girl, singing in a voice dripping with evil. Being so empty inside, there is only one pleasure left to the singer: destroying another person and making her as empty as him. His sexual fantasy will find its fulfillment only in thoughts of completely conquering her and making her white like him. He is going to give her television to destroy her culture, he is going to impregnate her to destroy her ethnicity, and he is going to teach her sons to think like white imperialists. In Mass Production, another track on the album, Iggy imagines a human society where everyone is the same and built from the same mold, as if they come out of a production line. Here, he wants to take an active part in erasing human identities and bringing about this society. These lyrics were written, and partly improvised, by Iggy, but they fit very well with things Bowie was saying at the time. In the previous 2 years, he was singing and talking about the fascist tendencies that hide behind humanity's civilized veneer. Humans, he claimed in interviews, as well as records like Big Brother and Somebody Up There Likes Me, have the desire to be erased and subjugated, and given the chance, they will elect a fascist dictator. China Girl adds the other side. They also have the desire to erase and subjugate others, and will do so if we let them. In The Darkest Hour, Iggy and Bowie expose the darkness of the human soul.
And when I get excited, my little China girl says, "Won't you just shut your mouth?" She says, "Shh."
Thankfully, once the sexual fantasy reached its climax, the singer is satisfied and no longer wants to destroy. His girl can then soothe him and bring him back down to earth, not a fascist monster but a regular man. Jimmy is Iggy's real name. Alternatively, we can hear this as Iggy shooting another dose of China White into his vein, which kills his sex drive and quiets him down. This latter interpretation would bring full reversal. While he's having domination fantasies, it is actually he who is being totally dominated, slave to the white powder that controls him completely. Either way, China Girl is a scary record, the scariest track in what is one of the scariest albums ever made. It can make you lose faith in humanity.